Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this mindfulness session. Sorry, I forgot my words then. Um, my name's Lucy. I'm Ellie's mum, and I'm here from the Ellie's Gift Project. And what we've been doing every month is we've been holding space for a short mindfulness practice for our community. And the idea of this is that it's more of a self-paced option where families can tune into these sessions at a time that suits and supports them. Um, it is baby loss specific, so meaning that the reason why these sessions are put on is to support the baby loss community. So very often when we seek out other mindfulness sort of resources, yeah, the tone might not always feel right because it's generally generic in nature. Um, so here at Ellie's Gift, we like to pride ourselves in providing sessions which really support our community, and of course is delivered by a bereaved parent, which is me. Um, and yeah, I hope this evening session is something that you find helpful. So. The session is it's going to be a shorter session than normal, and the reason being is because I am well aware that we are here in the UK, we are right into summertime, and there are many people who are now taking time to slow down, to wind down. There's lots of holidays that are in the mix with people, different circumstances, and really, I wanted to share a session, but to provide something which was going to be quick and short to access, and completely accessible. So this session is all around finding connection in the summertime, finding moments of ease, finding pockets of time where you can ground yourself. And especially in grief, that's really, really helpful to be able to do. I always talk about grief being a little bit like being at the beach and say, for example, the grief is the tide. So the tide is always coming in and always going out. And sometimes when that tide is in, it can feel really, really overwhelming. It can feel hard to breathe sometimes, when we think about that analogy, maybe feeling like we're underwater. It can feel like our feet are a little bit unsteady, just as they would be if we was in the sea and the tide was in. Um, and then, with some time, the tide goes out again. And even though we can still see the tide, it's not gone away. We might find that we're a bit steadier on our feet, or we find it a little bit easier to catch our breath. And that for me in particular, and having worked with many, many families now over the years, is a real kind of I guess a real depiction of what grief can be like for some people. So it's this kind of reality around the recognition that grief doesn't go away. It's something that's always there. And sometimes that tide might be out for quite some time. It might be that, you get to a point where you feel a little bit easier than normal. When grief maybe doesn't feel so heavy. And then maybe an anniversary comes along, a special anniversary, or maybe it's something that is really triggering and you'd not expected it, and suddenly you're inside of that sort of feeling unsteady again and feeling like you can't breathe again. So I think when we talk about grief, it's different for everyone. I know that there's a lot of different stages of grief that people talk about, but generally you do grief in your own way. There's no right or wrong way. And I think everybody's experience is valid, and important. So how do we find moments of ease then within this grief? Well, we can tune into to the present moment. We can tune into different things. I mean, we talk about this in our mindfulness courses. When we run these full 8-week courses, we take a real deep dive into all of this. And one of the practices that I thought might be helpful to share, particularly from that course, is a practice which involves watching the sky. So this is a really beautiful practice, and the idea is that every day you take 5 minutes to sit and watch the sky. And it might feel like, well, what's the point in that? But actually, for a lot of people, this can be really, really helpful. It can help them to connect to that sense of a sense of ease. It can help them to feel grounded. For some people, it can help them to feel closer to their baby or babies. And also, the sky is really interesting because it's always changing. So it's a real reminder that even in the depths of grief, when we might feel overwhelmed, when we might feel like things are never changing or I'm never going to feel any different than I do now, watching the sky can be a real good reminder. And in that changeable nature of what actually does happen, because we are nature. We're all part of the world. And when we look at the sky and see the changes in the clouds, it can give us that sense of hope in that change is will happen. We call this impermanence, so nothing stays the same. This is the truth. This is what we know to be true. So when it feels like our grief is overwhelming, just watching the sky can be a real reminder that, just this will change. So um on our courses, we also do another practice which is around checking in with our emotional weather. So, and it's not like describing the weather where you are. It's more kind of checking in with your internal weather. So, how you are physically, how you are emotionally, what the mind's doing. Is the mind in the future? Is it in the past a lot? And then what we do is we ask the group to match the way that they feel with a particular weather type, and that can be really helpful as well for people because. Um, if you do this over a period of days, and certainly if you do this, even over the period of one day, even in the morning, the lunchtime, afternoon, you will see that weather is changeable. That weather changes, our internal weather changes, and that in itself is it is again it's encouraging, isn't it? Because it can help us to see that the way that we feel isn't fixed, it's not static. And whilst it doesn't mean, feeling like we are having better days, doesn't mean that we are moving on or we're forgetting somehow. It just means that just like the weather changes, so do we. And it's just that recognition of that none of us are the same. We're never the same from one moment to the next. We're always changing. So I wanted to share that practice of watching the sky because I wonder perhaps whether there's an invitation here for you to, as you move through here, if you are in the UK, as you move through this time connecting to the summertime, this practice of watching the sky might be something that you can bring in really easily because it's easier to be out and maybe you can take a walk and you could sit on a bench or you could pull up in your car and look outside or even now I've got windows all around me so I can see the sky. So and the feedback we always get from watching the sky is that it's incredibly helpful grounding practice. And when people say to me, I've not got time to practice meditation or I've not got time to practice mindfulness, well, mindfulness means paying attention. It means paying attention in the present moment. And it's about paying attention in the present moment, non-judgmental to things as they are. And we can get better at paying attention through the guided meditations, of course we can. But we can also find moments like pockets of time in our day where we can choose to just connect into the present moment, tune into what we can see, what we can hear, what we can smell. This is mindfulness. Some people say, I don't have time for the practice. There's time everywhere. It's just, I guess, making the effort to look for it. So, the practice I want to lead you through this evening is to take you through the weather check-in, just to show you how to do this. And again, this also might be a helpful practice to bring in during this time, when you maybe find that time is a little bit less than normal. It might be that you want to um, maybe as a daily thing, bring in watching the sky for 5 minutes, having a moment to check in with how you are. That might be a helpful practice for you at the moment. So let me guide you then through what this could look like. Okay. So if you want to get yourself into a comfortable position, I mean, when you're out there in the real world, Doesn't necessarily matter how you sat, how you stood when you check in. It's just more for the purpose of this together here with me. It's helpful to yeah, check in with your posture, make sure that you are relaxed, so that there isn't any distractions in terms of maybe if you are not relaxed, you'd be thinking about how uncomfortable your arm feels or your leg feels or your back feels, etc. So yeah, get yourself into a comfortable position. One moment, guys. Just going to close them windows there. Okay. So taking a moment then to take a couple of deeper breaths. You might want to allow your eyes to close, allowing your eyes to close, or you maybe want to lower your gaze and allowing your body to soften and relax and release in this moment. So we're just going to be checking in first of all with our physical body. So your physical body in this moment now. And it can be helpful just to maybe begin at the very top of your head as you gently guide your way down, noticing how the body feels, noticing how your body feels, and touching every little area. So sometimes I find it helpful to imagine a spotlight shining on my body. So beginning at the very top of my head and then gently taking that spotlight down. It's the forehead, the eyes, cheeks, and the mouth, the neck and shoulders, the chest, arms, hands, and the front and the back of the body. And then hips, legs, knees, lower legs, and feet. So just checking in with your body. How does your body feel? Does it feel hot? Does it feel cool? Do you feel pain? Do you feel comfort? Are there other sensations that you notice? Other sensations that are there? So we're just getting a good idea of how the body feels, how your body feels in this moment now, how your body feels. Checking in with your physical body. And then checking in with the mind. So just bringing in your awareness now, noticing whether your mind feels busy, whether it's able to connect here in this present moment, or if the mind's jumping around, maybe there's thoughts about the future, maybe there's thoughts about the past. So just getting a general idea of how your mind is this evening. Just kind of making a little note of it. Is it busy, distracted? Is it present? And then turning your awareness now towards your emotional state. So, in terms of how you feel emotional this evening, how you feel, is there a word you can put to that? Is there a word to describe how you feel? Maybe there isn't a word, and that's okay. Sometimes it might be a color, might be a color you can use instead of a word. And then finally, just bringing in this question, which is the very kind of um, I guess the point of the practice, really, this weather check-in. If you could match the way that you feel, taking into account all that you've noticed now, your body, your mind, how the emotions are, what weather type would you be? What's your weather type? Would you be stormy? Would you be sunny? Would you be a clear day? Light showers? Foggy? What would you be? And then what can be helpful with this practice is once you've landed on a weather type, is you can follow it up with a question, which is, and what do I need? What would help me now? What do I need? Is there something that perhaps you could bring into your world now? It might be that you've noticed that you are dehydrated and you need to hydrate more, or you might notice that you're feeling a little bit lonely, which might indicate you would benefit from reaching out to connect with another human being. It might be that you feel restless, so maybe a walk or a run or the gym might be helpful. So it's a really helpful practice to check in with our weather and to ask ourselves how we are, but also what do we need? What would support us? So just letting go of that practice now, taking a moment just to sit, just connecting with a few breaths now as we sit here together. And taking a slow breath in. And as you release your breath, allowing your shoulders to relax, release, drop down. Gently opening your eyes. Taking a moment to check in with how you feel. What was that practice like for you? So this kind of, well, these two practices I wanted to share with you this month, just in the light of summer. Maybe when you feel that you can't quite find the time to listen to a guided audio track, or you feel a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit restless, taking a moment to sit and watch the sky, taking a moment to check in with your weather type and to ask yourself what you need can be a real help. It can. And I can confidently say that having taken many families through our courses now and hearing the positive benefits of both of these practices and also recognizing how these show up in my own life as well. So that is all from me and certainly all from us this summertime. We will be back hopefully in the winter time. Thank you so much for everybody's support so far and our recent support with the bike ride that we did. We did a fundraiser which enabled us to raise a good chunk of money, which is going to be helpful to support us for a little bit longer. If you can give or donate to Ellie's Gift at all today, that would be amazing. Our support really is relying on your support. So if you can help us, maybe it's by fundraising, donating, or even donating any of your skills, then please do reach out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for connecting and sending lots of love to you, whoever you are, wherever you are in the world. and take care, guys.